Right, that should be us live.
Hello,
Hello,
hello.
hello world. Hello everyone on the Underwater Photographer of the Year Facebook page, and hello to you, Peter, fellow
Hello,
UPY
Alex,
judge.
again.
Yeah, nice to be here. So, the aim of our session today is to run you through our thoughts, suggestions, advice for entering another batch of categories in the UPY competition. Don't forget, closing date 5th of January 2021, but it's competition's open now, so do get your entries in. So today we're going to deal with 6 categories. We're going to deal with behavior, portraits, black and white, compacts, up and coming, and the marine conservation category, and discuss all of those. And each of us have picked out a picture that we just feel is got something to talk about from previous winners. But I'd really encourage everyone to go and dig out, particularly the yearbooks from the previous competitions, and really look through the collection as a whole. It's by far the best place to get inspiration about what to enter and what might do well in the future. Not by copying pictures that have come before, because that's a surefire way of not winning, but using those pictures, the style of pictures, as inspiration for what pictures to enter and obviously to take. Before that, Peter, though, we have had quite a lot of emails and correspondence from people about the new award we've introduced this year, which is the My Backyard Award, which was set up to celebrate and promote underwater photography close to home at a time when people maybe have less opportunity to travel, and to show what wonders are close to people's homes. And obviously, underwater photographers live all around the world, so we'll have lots of diversity in that category, but it's good to promote it. But the question everyone is asking is what pictures are eligible? So can you shed any additional light on that?
Um, yeah, I think if we introduce too many rules, we will probably create more problems than it deserves. And all I would say is, obviously, you don't fly to your backyard. You do more than walk, you drive. Um, but if I was to put a car journey time onto it, that would be different for one person in one country to another person in another country.
We
So
don't want
all I
people
would
breaking the
say,
speed limit, do we? Just to
that's
get under
right.
the UPY time limit.
How fast do you drive? So all I would say is it is up to individual entrants, but if you drive past a perfectly good underwater photography dive site to another site further away, then that's not within the spirit of the award. And I think that if we tie it down any further than that, we could get a ball of string.
Mm.
So it's that's if we need a definition, I think that's what it should be.
Mm. And I think remember, your backyard may not be the ocean. It might be, a local swimming pool, a local river, a local lake, a place close to home where you can do underwater photography. That's what we're looking to celebrate with these pictures within the yearbook and within on the website as well, where we'll be highlighting them.
Mm.
The other thing that I'd sort of say on that as well is it should be up to you as an individual to define what your backyard is. And if you are successful in that category, all your friends are going to see your picture. And if all your friends immediately go, that's not your backyard, you're going to be left with a bit of, egg on your face. So I'd bear that in mind when you're considering it. Are your friends and peers going to agree with you that that's your backyard? And if they are, then that's exactly the definition we're looking for. So
Yeah.
as always, we're live on Facebook, and feel free to get on to Facebook. And if you've got any comments about what we're talking about or questions for us to answer, put them up now. And if they come in before we finish this broadcast, we'll very happily answer them as we go. But I now want to sort of get on to our main agenda, which involves me doing lots of computer fiddling. And we're going to run through now the 6 categories of UPY I want to discuss today, starting as we will with the category descriptions, and then just showcasing a couple of pictures that we feel capture the spirit of that category. But as always, I'd encourage you to see the whole collection, because actually within all these categories, UPY is really big on celebrating the diversity of underwater photography, and that underwater photography means very different things to different people, yet we're all united by submerging our cameras to do it. So the first category we're dealing with today is category number 4, behavior, for wide angle to close up and macro images, showing interesting natural behavior of underwater life. These images can be shot anywhere in the world, and it's open to all photographers. So this is a great one actually for backyard images. I know a lot of these, because actually the way to capture behavior is often having that extra time in the water and with subjects. And this is the picture that you've chosen to enter, which I guess is a backyard picture for Steve because he lives in Florida.
Mm.
Do you want to tell us a little? Oh, you probably can't. You can't see the picture, but it's Steve Kovac's picture of the mating pelagic nudibranchs.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Drop dead and gorgeous and behavior. The delicacy of the shot is jaw-dropping, and it a portrait. Sorry, behavior is one thing, and a photograph is another. And this has got both in loads. It's just gorgeous. In fact, I should have, pushed it higher.
Well, to let everyone into a slight trade secret about UPY is we divide the judges' comments up between all of us, and we all tend to want to write comments about the photos we particularly love. So you can always tell when looking through the yearbook which judge most loves your picture and fought the other two off to write the comment. And this one I wrote the comment for as well, and I loved it at the time. And I love the fact in the behavior category you have this whole scope of images from close-ups and macro stuff out to huge. We've had lots of whale behavior pictures, massive great vistas in this category. It's a very diverse collection. But yeah, this is a fantastic picture. I'm not going to speak about it today because we need to get through these. Right, so I chose to talk about this picture here, which was our overall winner by Richard Barden from the 2019 competition, and also the behavior category picture, capturing what at the time was a very fresh, newly experienced thing of these packs of grey reef sharks hunting around the spawning events in French Polynesia. And as a behavior shot, I think one of the things that's really important in a behavior shot is capturing the moment. And I think Steve Kovac's picture before, the moment of the clasping of the mating apparatus of the two nudibranchs, and also their faces coming together a little bit. But this picture here is of Richard's of the sharks. This is very much the moment. I mean, this parrotfish was gone moments later. This is high energy behavior caught right at the peak of the action, as the sharks have flushed this parrotfish out of the reef and then all descended en masse to feed on it. And it's just behavior, with real energy. But this category isn't just about action. Although this picture is an action shot, the previous shot was a very delicate, intimate moment. And all that range we want to award. So behavior. But I think the key to this category is it's got to be behavior first. If it's a macro shot with one animal kind of near another animal or living on another animal, it's probably not enough behavior. It probably should be in the standard macro category. Use that little bit of behavior to elevate your shot. Whereas in the behavior category, we kind of want behavior with a capital B. It just doesn't need to be action like this shot necessarily. Okay. So on to our next category, which is portraits, which is another of my favorite. These three we're talking about, first of all, today are three of my real favorites in the competition. Portraits is, again, for anything from wide angle to close-up images and macro images, which depict a sense of character in the subject. And we're very keen in UPY to interpret portrait very widely. Our winner of this category last year was actually a portrait of a person, which is the first time we've had that in all the years. It's typically been marine life portraits. But we're really, really willing to see how you interpret the word portrait, as long as it says to us portrait with a capital P. The images can be shot anywhere in the world by anyone. And let me bring up your picture, Peter, which is this one here.
Yeah, I chose this one to talk about because pretty much by and large, every successful portrait image should have eye contact, however big or small in the frame. It's the eyes or the eye that counts. The other thing to bear in mind is this particular shot. The photographer provided his details about the shot, and he said they're very difficult to find, they're very difficult to photograph, they're very difficult this, and that. We don't know that. When we judge the pictures, we know nothing about, obviously we don't know who it is, and we don't know how difficult it was or how easy it was. So just because you got a picture that took a long time to get doesn't make it any better, unfortunately. But coming back to the portrait side of things, it's the character nearly always comes from the eye.
And it doesn't have to be. I think what I liked about the fact you chose this one is it's not just about a subject completely filling the frame.
No.
There is, the negative space can be used really, really nicely for that. At UPY, we're well known for our love of seahorses. And, we are aware that we've awarded quite a lot of seahorse pictures down the years. And it's harder and harder to win with a seahorse picture. But when they're the quality of this one by Luke from last year, I mean, it is a magnificent portrait. This was our runner-up in the portraits category last year. And this is that kind of classic portrait, eye contact, symmetrical, center of the frame, composition, subject really big in the frame. And this is kind of the classic underwater portrait. But do contrast this with other ones in the category. It doesn't have to be this in-your-face style. But there's no doubt when this is done well, it likely to rise right to the top. But I would also remember as an entrant, we're likely to get a lot more pictures of this style with a charismatic subject looking at the camera, filling the frame nice and big, than we necessarily get with good use of negative space. So do mix it up when you're thinking of entering this category. Right. On to black and white, which is one of your favourite categories, isn't it, Peter?
It is, actually, yes.
Yeah. I know you always get excited about these pictures. I mean, so black and white. For black and white images of any subject, macro and wide angle, shot anywhere in the world, toning and tinting is permitted. Black and white photos are eligible in all categories, but are far more likely to be successful here, or more likely, it says here in the actual rules. So yeah, we don't rule against them in other categories, but sometimes we might, when it gets to the really sharp end and everything is very competitive, we go, how come they didn't try this in black and white? So I would encourage you to put the majority of your black and white pictures in here, unless they are, a gobsmacking behavior or a gobsmacking portrait that you want to, for example. I would say that typically this category is dominated by wide angle pictures. However, I think every year a few macros get in there. And I think it's a good way to make your black and white stand out is to have a think, have you got any macro pictures that could do well in black and white? So this is your one that you've chosen, Peter, to make it a bit bigger.
This just says everything to me about what this category is all about and why the category works so well, because it distills the image into what seems like restricted tones, but actually it's the tones are expanded, and a good black and white will use all of the tones available from black right the way through to white. And this example not only does it in spades, but compositionally, you can't ignore it. Sometimes when you get a strong composition like this, when you come back to look at it again, it might have just lost its instant original appeal. But a shot like this, beautifully, it's just, you don't tire of looking at it. And that's makes it, a lasting image. It's a cracker.
And Henry Spears, he's been one of our most successful photographers in the black and white category down the last few years. He won it the year before last. And in the current edition, he was runner up. So his work is really exemplary, and it's a very good example of exactly what we're looking for in this category with that level of success. Our winner, though,
quickly. Sorry.
Yeah, go on. Do you want to say our winner, though, from last year in the category was this very original image by Mok Wai Ho. And although there's no particularly special subject matter. As a photograph, it's incredibly beautiful, and my understanding is this effect is done in camera as well, so it's really impressive from that point of view, and I think really stands out. Now we've seen this now, so anyone who's maybe thinking of doing something very similar to this in the future, it's unlikely to have the same impact. But this was a shot that we hadn't seen anyone do anything like this before in underwater photography. And all the three of us do spend a lot of time looking at underwater photos, but maybe people had been doing this and we hadn't been seeing it. But when we do see something like this and it's done so well, that really is a great recipe for success. And what a memorable shot! And it was the yearbook cover as well. So I know you must have loved it.
Just very quickly, it's one of those images that almost makes you want to applaud it. You just look at it and you feel as if you have to applaud the photographer for the idea and the execution and the vision. Absolute stunning shot.
Yeah, great. Right. Let's get through these last ones. Right. So onto the compact category now. UPY is generally aimed at celebrating the very best, the world class underwater photography, and unlike some other competitions, doesn't have endless sort of subdivisions of categories for different levels of photographer. But we do have compact category, which is open for any pictures, but it's open only to photographers whose only camera is of a compact type, and that might be a GoPro, a phone camera, action camera, or a classic digital compact camera. The pictures can come from anywhere in the world, and I have to say that this compact category is dominated by some very talented photographers who really push the limits of what these cameras can do. And I think a key to me to success in this category is to take a picture that either a compact camera can do better than another camera, or a type of picture that a compact camera doesn't normally do, and it helps you stand out. And I think a split level shot, I think both these shots are by Enrico, who's had a lot of success in this category in the past. I think this shot here is one that really stands out in a category.
Yeah, I mean that's why I chose it, because it's what I'd call a big shot from a small camera, and it's very easy to buy large and expensive equipment, but actually, when you see images like this, you go, perhaps it's better to squeeze everything you can out of an economic, small, compact system. And this is a great example of, think big and camera size doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a really, really nicely done shot. And then my shot is another one of Enrico's, this time a split level, but done by double exposure. Done in camera, so it's actually all done in camera, and the double exposure also uses different colored backlight. So, slightly unrealistic shot, but I think as a technical tour de force really shows a basic camera, but by no means a basic technique. And I think very deserving picture, very eye-catching as well, the final result. Okay. A category that I think is a favorite amongst all of us, especially Martin, when we're judging, and that's the up and coming category, which is a category aimed at underwater photographers who fit that description of up and coming. They've not previously been awarded in a major underwater photography competition or been published. We can't check on the entries because we judge them anonymously, but we do trust photographers that they wouldn't enter this category unless they are in that. And obviously, if you are successful in that, and then all your friends sort of see you're successful in it, and they say, well, you're not up and coming, you're going to end up, much worse off than if you hadn't entered and won. So I would encourage everyone to make sure they feel that they're properly eligible for this, and typically our winners are. So, I think one of the challenges this is, it's for any underwater photo. So it's for any wide angle, macro, close up shot, anywhere in the world, in the ocean, in swimming pool, and everywhere in between. And I think it's a really interesting category. I think one thing I would say is the last comment on this, which is the aim of this category is to showcase the work of new talent. And I think all three of us judges, we look for images that really show someone bringing something fresh to underwater photography. A lot of the winners in this category down the years, are showing us something we haven't seen before, some new vision. And this was your one you chose out to talk about, Peter?
Mm, I consciously, when I'm choosing these images, try not to choose the winner.
Mm,
But this is, when it comes to up and coming, uh, it's the winner that that just typifies what we're looking for, and therefore the winning shot
mm,
is the one to talk about. And this one, uh, it is, it works on so many levels: photographically, marine biologically, artistically, compositionally, and it just says that this underwater photographer has got it.
mm.
And uh, it's just such a grown up, beautifully executed image, and it's one that you can just look at for a long period of time, not get fed up with it, and still find new stuff. So very much up and coming.
And also it's got that originality because it's
Mm,
not in a scuba diving environment. It's in a different environment to where people may normally take pictures. So it's breaking new ground too. Yeah, very nice,
mm,
right?
yeah.
Um, and this was my one, which was came second to that one in that category. Um, last year, which was the run up in the category, and the winner of this category automatically gets the award of up and coming underwater photographer, and typically the highest placed British entry in this category wins the British equivalent of that award, and that's what Nur here in second. Anita won the international award, and Nur won the British award with this picture here. And this is, one of those technically crafted underwater pictures. From memory, I think it's a multiple exposure, where she created this background in one shot and then shot the seahorse in a way that the camera would in camera blend the two together to create a really different and original composition of a subject. And I think that's something we're looking for when judging this category is people that are trying to be innovative, trying to be creative, trying to show us something we haven't seen before, because that's the main thing we're trying to identify in new talent. Right. Okay. And the last thing we're going to talk about today, which is sort of a bit of a departure, which is the marine conservation category, which also brings the title or the award of Marine Conservation Photographer of the Year. And what's unusual about this category is it's open to both underwater and above water photos. So it can be dealing with aquatic conservation issues. They don't have to be about the ocean. They can be freshwater themed, but most of them tend to be more ocean related. And they can be either done with underwater pictures or above water pictures. It's open to all photographers, and you don't need to be an underwater photographer to enter this category. So do spread it around to your non-underwater photography friends. And the aim of this category is to generate and highlight some incredibly powerful pictures that are showing some of the challenges facing the ocean, and also success stories as well. And hopefully bring those pictures to the attention of NGOs and other organizations who can use them. And I know we've had a lot of success in the past about our winning pictures from this category going on and being used in campaigns and making a real difference. And without this category, the photographers and the conservationists would never have got together and found each other. So that's a real bonus of this category. It's a chance to get your pictures seen by people who can actually put them out there to be used and make them make a real difference. I'm not going to read all out the title. I would say, Chris, quickly, we don't read captions when we judge these things, but as judges, we're pretty aware of a lot of the major issues. We want images that work without you knowing the backstory, because that's what the type of image that's going to grab the public's attention and bring them in. But when we do show the final pictures, you will get the chance to write a full caption. This is the picture you chose, Peter.
Yeah, I chose this one because it's this category by its nature has to have an element of reportage.
Mm,
The images are probably the ones that the press picks up on more, um, because of the stories behind them.
mm,
And so it's, I mean, this is just a cracking image from concept. There was an element, as the caption showed us, after we chosen the shot, but there was an element of risk in photographing the fins on sail, and such a lovely idea to superimpose a beautiful natural living thing to put over a very strong point. And that's what this category is about. It's about highlighting the sometimes unpleasant things in the underwater world.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great picture. It's interesting that two of your pictures are actually taken by the same photographer, which you probably didn't realise.
I
That's
don't
by
know.
David Alpert, who took the pygmy seahorse as well.
Right, okay.
Right, and this was the category winner last year, and this, it is a standard fishing practice, and this is not, this is something that's, very much allowed to go on in the oceans. It's showing anything illegal or necessarily especially dubious. The ocean's an important role of the oceans is to provide protein for people to live on, and this is a fish that's packed full of protein for people to eat. But nonetheless, I think this is a very eye-catching, striking image, and I think it really appealed to us. This is our category winner. It's an image that you can't ignore. It's a beautiful image. It's graphically strong, and it's a proper reportage image. This wasn't a staged image where someone went out and tried to set something up. This is very much a photographer joining a proper fishing trip and asking permission to dive and tell that story. And yeah, so a really memorable shot for us. Right, I think that's a pretty good place for us to wrap up for today. Thank you very much, Peter, and we'll come back, I think, on Monday for one more of these to talk about the British categories.
Okay, just before we go, I'd just like to point out to readers that there isn't a lunar eclipse happening on Alex's head. Yeah. It's just a chink in his curtains. Yeah. But I was just waiting for a full eclipse, but maybe that'll be on Monday.
Yeah, you get to see the full moon on Monday.
We don't want a moon, thank you.
No, okay. Thank you for that, Peter.
Okay, bye.
Bye.